So I just want to say that you are not alone. You can seek help from many other people, because when they see other people also really tough, never show any negative emotions or never show any vulnerability, they do not want to show their own vulnerability as well.
We often think of career transition as something planned, charted, perhaps even strategic. But sometimes a deeper shift happens when a career aligns with the heart. Welcome to Mosaic Minds. Hello. I'm My Holland, your podcast host. Today on Mosaic Mind, we are meeting Khánh, a wonderful woman whose journey took her from managing tech projects to managing something far more impactful, human well-being. After years in technology and volunteering in mental health, Khánh found her path, not in what she could build externally, but in what she could nurture within, both in herself and others. Now pursuing a master's in psychology and neuroscience at King's College London, she consults for core community Vietnam, weaving science, empathy, and system thinking into her service. Her story reminds us that growth is not always upward. Sometimes it's inward. Let's dive into her own Mosaic Mind. So, Khánh, you are absolutely committed to mental health, and you're also reconnecting with what you call your Vietnamese heritage. So welcome in. How are you?
Hi, Me. I'm very happy to be here today. I have followed the Mosaic Mind in the past, and also your activities as well. And very impressed with what you have done with the community, community, and also other activities.
Awesome.
So I'm just really happy to be here today.
Thank you. Well, I really want to know. I'm so curious. So I just mentioned that you have done a career transition, which I say is a very, very bold shift, from tech, project management to psychology and neuroscience and mental health. Can you tell me what was the trigger, because it's not like a career path that, everybody's going into learning neuroscience. So can you explain me, what's the trigger, what drew you into that pathway, which you are discovering plenty of new things? What's your story?
Yeah. I think that I have been interested in psychology and mental health for a very long time, probably about 10 years. I think what really started is probably the quarter life crisis. I think that many young people, may encounter the quarter life crisis. So at that time, I became extremely interested in psychology and mental health, and it was, personal for me. And I thought that understanding about psychology and mental health can help me and people around me. For example, my friends, my family. But, recently, especially after the COVID time, I realized that many other people are also struggling with mental health. And so it is not, the personal reason. And I start to also notice about other people, and I wonder how I can help other people. So that is the reason why I finally decided to make a switch of my career from project management and working in technology into psychology and mental health.
Yes, it's very prestigious going to learn neuroscience at King's College. I wonder, how is your experience so far? How is it when you study there? What does your day look like?
Well, my day involves a lot of reading, for
Okay,
sure. because the program is very heavy in terms of research. And, reading the latest research about psychology and mental health and neuroscience as well. And because I do not have a background in neuroscience or biology in general, because in the past, when I was a kid, I didn't really, study biology. I thought that when I grow up, I will never do anything related to biology.
Okay, so we never know.
So now I have to pay the price. I have to learn a lot about biology. Yeah, but I think I really enjoy this program because it is kind of a comprehensive program. I mean, I got a chance to look at mental health in both psychology and neuroscience perspective. Psychology, it is something like our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, and neuroscience is more about the brain itself, like how the brain functions. So I think let's take depression as an example. In the past, I only look at depression in the psychology perspective. So, for example, we feel the sadness, the very negative thoughts or moods, and also the behaviors, for example, like a motivation. But then after learning about neuroscience, I also developed a way to view depression. It is also about the imbalance in the neurotransmitter of the serotonin, or even the whole body, like the immunity of a person may also cause or maintain depression. So I can see it's a very holistic view of mental health. So it's not just about it's not just about the mind or the brain itself, but also our whole body. Yes, I think it's very fascinating for me.
You are giving me ways of opening, our minds, in a different ways, which is absolutely wonderful. And this is very inspiring because I did a degree in neuroscience of leadership, which is quite different. And I agree with you about catching up with biology. I struggled myself.
Yeah.
But I can see what you're saying, and that really inspires me just to go back from my studies and look through things from another eye. So that is so inspiring. And when we had our chat lately, a few months ago now in Ho Chi Minh City in that beautiful cafe, and I remember you shared something very, very personal. You talked about your journey when it began with learning about accepting yourself. And I want to understand more. How was that journey really shaping the way that you see and support others? You mentioned, the transition before, but a lot of people are struggling with self-compassion. So I'm not talking about compassion, but really talking about self-compassion. For you, what is it that helped you to begin to soften yourself, soften towards yourself? So what is the place of self-compassion and accepting yourself, in that journey?
Well, that is a very interesting and also very big question.
I know. I
don't really know how to start. Yeah, and I think that self-compassion is a very interesting area, and also a very long-term area, a long-term journey. I mean, we can say that, I'm trying to be more self-compassionate, but in the future there would be, other events or other situations that we may realize that we are not self-compassionate yet, and develop further in the future. So for myself, I think that let's take an example of my sensitiveness. I would say I would call it like that because I can easily cry. And and in the past I saw that as a big weakness, especially if I'm in the position of project leader or project manager, because I think that crying would make me look very weak and very bad, and that would be something that can interfere with my career and affect other people. Yeah, and so I really try to hide that, and I really try to suppress my emotions for a very long time. But after that, I realized that it's not really healthy for me, and also for my team members or for my colleagues as well. Because when they see other people also really tough and never show any negative emotions or never show any vulnerability, they do not want to show their own vulnerability as well. Yeah, so after working some time especially in cross-functional teams, I actually realized that it was not about how sensitive I was, but it's more about how I how I improve myself, and how I can be more authentic with myself, but also hold space for other people, for my team members or for my colleagues. And that is more important than just suppressing my emotions or suppressing my sensitiveness. And I also realized that, a weakness could also be a strength, because I'm sensitive. So sometimes I could see it more quickly than other people. For example, I could see a problem in the project, or even I could see if some colleagues or some team members need help. And at that time, I realized that this is actually, I could use it as a strength, and actually it can benefit other people as well. I think that is the very first steps for me to learn more about self-compassion, to embrace, to hold myself, both weakness and also strength, and how to develop it more in the future, and to benefit other people.
This is words of wisdom, I love it. And I love that you said that, you're holding space for yourself, but, and others as well. So it's not just about others, but for yourself as well, to have that space for yourself. So, and I'm really interested, in what you have learned about yourself. And one, you said that, you work differently in terms of seeing, weakness as possible strength as well. So you're really shifting that mindset. Can you tell us more about, when you work with other people, and then we'll come back to your community. When you work with other people, how do you approach leadership now that, you have all those wisdom, knowledge from, the neuroscience point of view, and you understand about, mental well-being. So how do you approach leadership now? So then you can give some advice to maybe the people who are listening today and very curious about, what you want to share.
Well, because I'm quite young and junior in terms of leadership, so I'm still learning as well. But I think that one of the biggest lessons for me from my experience is that when I step into a team or when I step into a workplace, I try to accept people as who they are first. So in the past, sometimes when I step into a team, or sometimes when I meet other people, I have some thinking, I wish this person would be more something, for example, or I wish this person would be less something. So yeah, so it's about, their personality or even their work experience. I wish this person has personal branding knowledge or something like that. So so I think that kind of mindset really can affect me, because I'm always, expecting something else that are not really present at that moment. And it also affects how I interact with other colleagues and with other team members, because I think that in general, we human are very sensitive, and we may realize that other people are not really seeing us for who we are, but keep expecting something else from us. And I mean, that is not a bad thing, because everyone has their plan, everyone has some expectation about their future. Maybe those colleagues also have a plan to develop those skills or those knowledge as well. But at that moment, we are working with what we have. So that is something that I think that is the hard lesson that I have been trying to learn.
Sounds to me like another set of words of wisdom. So not everybody would have that kind of insight, and I'm learning from you today. And I want to come back to what we were talking about before. So we talked about your community, so what you call it, the core community. And I want to understand more, what is it about? What is that community, and what is the purpose behind? Can you tell us a bit more about that organization, what you have learned about grassroots mental health support in Vietnam? What's happening here? So then we understand about the big picture.
So with core community, we try to enhance the mental well-being in general in Vietnam through various activities such as counseling. So we do have the mental health counseling, and also training. For example, we have courses that teach people about empathy, about active listening, so that, especially for young people, so that young people can come back to their community to actively listen to their friends and family, to have empathy for them, so that they can develop better relationships and strengthen their community. And we also have other community development activities. So for example, last year we have a very successful project called Dawn After Yagi. So because last year we have a very devastating storm, typhoon, which is Yagi storm. In that setting, we realized that many organizations, even the governmental organizations and non-NGO and non-profit organizations, they have done amazing work in rebuilding the homes and immediate physical needs for the people affected. But there are not so many things done yet about the mental health. That was when we realized that maybe that was something that we could do here. So we organized a campaign with workshops with the many experts, so that we could talk and we could share about the mental health after the disasters, after natural disasters, and
Right.
also equip the people and the community with very necessary skills. For example, disaster response and disaster preparedness, so that in the future they may know how to cope with the natural disasters, and how to take care of their community, and especially the vulnerable communities, for example, the elderly and also the children in that community.
That's wonderful work. So you're working in Vietnam, and as like I'm based now in Australia, but mental well-being is still, we still have some stigma here. And we talk a lot about, stigma in mental health, mental well-being in Australia. I wonder how it is, in Vietnam, any misconceptions or challenges that you see about, the concept of mental well-being or mental health. How is it nowadays? Is it different from generation, or how is it today compared to, 10 years ago? What do you see?
Well, I think that recently there are many optimistic signs, many exciting signs actually, that young people care more and more about mental health. We can see that, from the social media very, very clearly. So for example, I think that it's just maybe 5 years ago, sometimes I felt kind of, lonely in terms of, learning and getting to know more about psychology and mental health. I could find some community, but I could see that they are quite, limited. But now I can see that many groups or many organizations on social media and even, in real life in Hanoi, in Saigon, in many other provinces that start to work on mental health, especially, and many of them are from young people. And I could see that many young people are also active to talk to their parents or to talk to their family members about mental health. And in one workshop that CORE organized in the past, I think maybe last year or so, we could see that. I mean, most of the workshop participants are young people, but there were a few middle-aged parents said that they really wanted to join the workshop so that they could understand more about their kids. And we were really moved about talking and interacting and seeing these people who are actively seeking help and seeking knowledge about mental health, so that they can become more aware, and so that they can take care about their family and their kids and their teenagers. So we are really happy to see that shift.
I'm just wondering if you can look into the Vietnamese culture. So we have very collectivist, collective values in Vietnam. We live as a group. It's very different if you live in England or Australia. There's much more individual values. I wonder what are the plus and the minus in the Vietnamese collective values that we have here. What are the good and the not so good things, the impact of them, on mental well-being?
Yeah, that is an amazing question. I think that the collectivism in Vietnam is very important, because I could see that many young people are struggling with their mental health issues, but many of them get support from their family. So for example, they live with their family. If they have any difficulties, their family can support them. Or even some young people, when they have difficulties with their emotional management, for example, they can share with their families, and their families can pass on their experience or their knowledge about that area to the kids, to the young people. That is something that really outstanding in terms of the collectivism in Vietnam. But as you said, it also poses some challenges, because when we live in a community, and especially collectivism, we may feel like it is a little bit hard for us to express ourselves, especially if other people around us seem to look really happy and seem to look like they don't have any problem. So if we say that we have some kind of problems, and if we show some kind of individual differences, we may be a little bit nervous and a little bit worried that we are not accepted. This is the challenge that many young people also encounter when they cannot share what is going on with their life to their parents or to their family or to their community. And I think that could also contribute to their mental health problems.
Because we talk a lot about loneliness, in Australia where I am here, especially for the young one, even if they have, thousands of followers and thousands of friends on social media, do you think that's the kind of same thing in Vietnam as well, despite being in a collectivist country? Or even do younger people now, despite having thousands of followers, are feeling that kind of loneliness as well? Or is it something that they have not labeled it as loneliness? What are your views as an expert?
I think that with the development of technology and social media, I think not only young people in Vietnam, but also many other countries may feel the same. I mean, at the beginning, we may not see that as loneliness, because I have hundreds of friends on Facebook, and I know exactly what they are doing, because they post all the time where they are traveling or what kind of achievements they are having. But then that is not really the deep connection like that we used to have in the past. So, for example, like I mentioned earlier, the program that CORE organized in the past about empathy and active listening, those kind of skills are not really present on social media. So they do not happen on social media. If we want to share, to have empathy or to show our empathy or to do active listening, most of them, I would say, I assume that would happen better in reality. So that is something that is quite challenging, I think, for the young people nowadays. Actually, several weeks ago, I did a kind of a small survey on Facebook to ask young people about how they feel about ChatGPT or the generative AI, how they have they ever used those tools to share about their emotions or their struggles in life. And surprisingly, many people commented on that post and said that they have already used that. And I think that more than half of them said that they liked it. They liked ChatGPT or they liked DeepSeek, another generative AI, because they do not judge. I mean, those AI tools do not judge them. They feel, even some people said that they feel quite safe talking to those, tools, because they do not trust people in reality. So that is something that I really, I feel I'm quite startled when I read about that. Yeah, but I think that it is very interesting for me as a future researcher if I want to, to dig deeper into how young people or how everyone is using AI for their emotional needs, and what we can do to make them, safe, and what we can make use of those tools, but also to strengthen the humanity bond.
Absolutely. When we met a few months ago, you talk about mindfulness. And I know that concept means a lot of things for many people, but with you, there's a special meaning attached to that concept of mindfulness. I was wondering if you can let us understand through your word how you understand that concept of mindfulness, which, many people understand differently. How do you weave into your life, your research, your work? What is it? How do you do it? What is mindfulness for you, and how do you use it?
When we mention mindfulness, many people may think of meditation, like we sit still and we meditate, and we would think about feeling calm, like not emotionally, like in an emotional roller coaster anymore. So I think that those are the kinds of images that we often think about when we mention mindfulness. So to put it simply, we can think of mindfulness as to pay attention and to focus on a present moment. So it might be your own feelings or even the surroundings around us, but with openness and with with awareness and in non-judgmental way. So for example, when I wash dishes, if I'm washing dishes and I am listening to music, then maybe I don't know what I'm washing, because I'm just doing it automatically, and I just want to finish the job because I don't like washing dishes. Yeah. Or if I'm only washing dishes, but in my mind, there are feelings and thinking something like, I hate washing dishes. Like, I don't like this at all. I just wish that I could finish it early so that I can do other more interesting things. So those are the examples of the opposite of mindfulness. But with mindfulness, let's say I can wash the dishes and I pay attention to to the whole process. For example, I can feel the water coming in, coming out. I can feel that I'm wiping this bowl or this dish, or even if I'm kind of hate the process, I realize I'm aware that there's a thought in my mind that say I hate washing the dishes. So that is kind of an example for being mindful. After our talk earlier, I also joined a mindful meditation retreat, and it is a really fantastic experience for me, because in that retreat I practice mindfulness in very many different ways. So it's not just about sitting meditation, but I also do walking meditation. When we walk, we just want to go to some kind of destination, right? Like, we don't really notice how our legs, how our feet are moving. In this exercise, we just try to notice how our body are moving, how our feet, our shoes interacting with the land, with the earth, they said. And even the surrounding. We are walking in the morning with the sunrise right there, with the wind, for example.
I wonder about the books that you like to read about mindfulness. What would be a book that you would advise everybody to read?
Actually, there are There are many books about mindfulness. To be honest, I can't remember of a specific title right now, but I recommend some books from Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, because he was considered to be the one who bring mindfulness to the West. So the way he explained about mindfulness could be quite simple for everyone to practice, not only to understand, but also to practice ourselves. Because let's say in the retreat, we have an exercise of mindfulness eating. So we learn to eat a tangerine with mindfulness, and that is quite impressive, because in the past we just, I know that it's delicious or it's not delicious, and that's it. I don't care about any other things. Yeah, but then we learn to eat the tangerine with really attention to the tangerine, and also with deep appreciation, because the tangerine is not suddenly there. It comes from something else, or it comes from other people. For example, some people who grow it, or the sunshine, etc. So I learned a lot about the appreciation of the mindfulness exercise. For example, just eating, and I think that could help us a lot in our daily life, because we appreciate the activities or the food that we are eating. And coming back to the point that we made earlier about our leadership, we appreciate the team members or the colleagues that we are working with. Yeah, instead of just wishing that they are someone else or they have other skills or other abilities. So just accepting who they are for at this moment. So I think that I could apply that into to work as well.
That's, again, this is, those insights are absolutely, this is wisdom here, because what you're saying basically is seeing that everything is connected to each other. And I think that when we are so busy in our pain or struggle, we don't always connect everything together. So when you're talking about the tangerine, as you mentioned, you connect with this taste, but you also connect to how many pieces that you are eating. But if your mind is busy, then you don't know what you're doing. So you're not truly present. And what's the impact of not being fully present with mental well-being, do you think? What's the impact of not being there and not understanding what's happening to you? What's the impact there?
I think that one specific impact that you mentioned earlier, I would say, is loneliness. I think that if we are talking together to each other, but I'm busy thinking about something else, I may not realize how you are doing today. Or if I'm scrolling the social media, and I mean we see that a lot, right? Like people in the cafe or the restaurant. I do that myself as well sometimes. Like we just focus on what's going on with our social media, and we forget about the presence of the other person. So yes, I think that could directly lead to loneliness. Even if a young person is feeling lonely, but let's say they are eating a tangerine with mindfulness, then they may realize that they are not like actually alone or lonely, because whatever the tangerine or whatever they are eating, there's someone else related to that food. Someone else grow that food, or someone else cooking that food. So actually they are connected with many people or with many things at the same time. It is just that we do not realize that. So it could lead to, it is one of the reasons why we may feel like really isolated and very lonely. So I think that is one specific impact that we could say related to what we discussed earlier.
Absolutely. So thank you for that. So if you can give one message to young Vietnamese, or maybe not so young Vietnamese listeners here, feeling pressure or confusion, what would be an advice from you? I mean, you gave so many already, but I'm just thinking, if they want to remember something from your podcast today, what would be one message that as a takeaway, really?
I think that one message is that you are not alone, because I think that many times when we feel pressure or we feel stressed and many other negative feelings, we may often feel alone and isolated, but in fact we are not really alone or isolated. So I just want to say that you are not alone. You can seek help from many other people, from the professionals, from the experts, but also from the people surrounding around you, like family, like friends who we may not open up to before. And also because I think that many people, not only young people, but many other people nowadays may seek for purpose. They may feel empty inside because they want to do something bigger, or something that is more meaningful, but maybe because they do not have a chance to to explore other areas. Maybe they have to do their current job, so they may feel disappointed, or they may feel empty because they want to do more. They want to explore something bigger than themselves. Then I would say that, I mean, we don't really have to work for a charity in order to do good things, in order to help other people. We may just, support a local initiative, or we may just, like helping people around us, like our colleagues or our neighbors, or just someone we see on the street, for example. Or even like instead of throwing away our clothes, we sell it to the second-hand shop. So that could be, something that is just a small act, but actually it could help a lot, and it could have a lot of impacts to other people, to the environment, but also the impacts on our own mental well-being as well, because we feel like we have a purpose and we are doing good things, and we are connected to something bigger than ourselves. So I think that could help a lot.
So you mentioned a lot of good things today in such a short time, from self-compassion to self-acceptance to having a sense of purpose, to understand that connectiveness to everything, which is linked to our loneliness sometimes because we don't see all those links. So you have all those wisdom that you just shared today. And I was wondering, if you are writing a letter to your younger self, what would you say to
Wow.
Khánh, who is younger? What would you say to her?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is to express my empathy and compassion to my younger self, because as we discussed earlier, I don't think that I had that in the past. When I was younger, I was tough on myself sometimes, and didn't really know what self-compassion is. So if I could say one thing to my younger self, it would be it's okay. I could see your strugglings and also your struggles and also your efforts, and you have done your best to whatever plans that you were having. You have tried your best. And the second thing I would say to my younger self is I think that it's just to tell her to slow down, like do not need to to rush. I think that many, like not only me, but also many other people, we really try hard and we want to rush things to achieve more, and just to figure out, or even just to figure out, for example, who we are and what we want to do. But I think that in the end, it will work out somehow. I mean, as long as we put in efforts, it will work out in the end. So I will try to tell my younger self to, you're doing okay, keep doing it. But you don't need to rush. Sometimes just take a breath, just stop for a while, take a breath, drink some water, drink more water. Yeah, take care of ourselves, and everything will be okay. Yeah, I think that's the thing that I would tell her.
Sounds to me like the enoughness. So you know that the name of the podcast is called Mosaic Mind. Today you gave us a lot of tips, about understanding about, how to boost our mental well-being and look after and nurture it. So Mosaic Mind, what is that one of the final tip that you really want just to have like a nurturing mosaic mind for everybody, so then we are truly healthy? And I know that you get so many, but what would be one that you really want, to have it, absolutely to have it, to nurture that mosaic mind, which makes sense when you put things together?
I think that I'm very impressed with the name Mosaic Mind. I imagine in my head like many different colors and many different, the variety of shapes and time and experience. If I have to, to pack everything into one sentence or even one word, I think that would be maybe open and curious. Yeah, because I think that if we explore a lot, I mean, it's good if we, have opportunities to explore a lot, not even outside, but, even explore our feelings and thoughts. But if we are open and we are curious, then we may learn a lot from that. And we may have a mosaic mind, different perspectives and very diversity of views and of wisdom or of knowledge. Yeah. So I would pack into those two words.
Thank you very much, Khánh. It was lovely chatting with you today, and the past time that we have chatted together, oh my gosh, it has been hours chatting together. I love it. Really love your sense of wisdom and your humility and the curiosity of, the knowledge, that you're mentioning today. I absolutely really in awe with that, and I'm happy learning a lot. So for everyone, if you want to know more about Khan, so you can read her profile underneath here, and also how to contact you, and also your core community if you want just to, to know more about, the community that she's been working with. Any question, ask Khan directly. And as to us, we want to be ambassadors, cultural identity of having our sense of purpose, our sense of pride of who we are and how to be enough at the same time being well. So Khan, thank you very much for your words of wisdom today, and let's catch up in Vietnam again soon. Bye.
Thank you, chị. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.